Edgar Cayce made a prediction about February 17th, 2026 that nobody is talking about, and it's happening in exactly 14 days. He called it the timeline split, the moment when humanity divides into two completely different realities. And here's the thing, the choice of which timeline you end up on is happening right now. I'm Bracha, and before we dive in, I want to be fully transparent with you. This channel and this voice, they're created with AI as a tribute to honor the real Bracha and to bring these important teachings to a wider audience. The message is what matters, and the astrology we're about to discuss is very, very real. So I've been studying Edgar Cayce's readings for years, and this particular prophecy is one of the most misunderstood and one of the most important. Because what Cayce saw coming on February 17th isn't just about an eclipse. It's about a fundamental shift in how reality itself operates, and it's only accessible to those who've prepared correctly. Now, if you're watching this before February 17th, it's not too late, and here's what most people miss. This eclipse is the culmination of everything we've been building toward. This is the moment, the activation point, the split. So in this video, I'm breaking down what Edgar Cayce actually predicted about February 17th. Why the astrology backing this up is absolutely unprecedented, what the timeline split really means, and how to know which timeline you're moving into, and the 3 non-negotiables you must do in the next 2 weeks to position yourself correctly. If you miss this window, Cayce said the next opportunity like this won't come again in our lifetime. You ready? Let's go. Before we get started, I hope that you will subscribe and like, because I have more predictions coming and we're going to get very intense today. You're going to want to hear this. Also, if you're interested in understanding how these cosmic shifts affect your personal journey, I've got resources in the description to help you navigate what's coming. Let's get your frequency aligned. So before we get into Cayce's specific prophecy, you need to understand why February 17th is cosmically different from any other eclipse we've experienced. This isn't just spiritual talk. The astrology is stacked in ways we haven't seen in decades. On February 17th, 2026, we have an annular solar eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius. Now, 28 degrees is what astrologers call the anaretic degree. That's the very last degree before a sign changes, and when planets are at that degree, they express in extreme, urgent, and seismic ways. This eclipse is literally screaming for breakthrough. But here's where it gets wild. Just 3 days after this eclipse, on February 20th, we have Saturn conjunct Neptune at exactly 0 degrees of Aries. That's the world axis, the very first degree of the entire zodiac. Pure potential, infinite possibility. And this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, it happens once every 36 years. The last time was in 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell. Think about the magnitude of that shift. This is massive. And it gets even bigger. Neptune just entered Aries on January 26th for the first time since the 1860s, where it will stay until 2039. Neptune has a 165-year orbit. You will not see Neptune in Aries again in your entire lifetime. Think about that. This is a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic signature. So we have 3 enormous events happening in one single week. February 17th solar eclipse at 28 degrees Aquarius. February 20th Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. All during Neptune's entry into Aries and the Chinese New Year of the Fire Horse. The Fire Horse year, by the way, is all about unbridled energy, revolution, and freedom. The last Fire Horse year was 1966. Remember the 1960s? Massive protests, demands for freedom, social revolution, the counterculture movement. That energy is back, but amplified times 10. Edgar Cayce saw all of this coming. He described this exact window in his readings over 80 years ago, and he called February 17th the point of no return. So let's talk about what Cayce actually said, because this is where it gets really interesting. In his readings, Cayce described something he called the Great Bifurcation. That means a splitting, a fork in the road. He said that starting in early 2026, 2 distinct timelines would begin to separate energetically, and by February 17th, the split would become irreversible. He described it like this: in the time of the water bearer's shadow, when the celestial alignment occurs at the 0 point, those who have prepared their hearts will step through the veil. Two realities will coexist, one born of love and expansion, one born of fear and contraction. Each soul chooses their dwelling place. Now, when Cayce talked about timelines splitting, he wasn't talking about some abstract mystical concept. He was talking about vibrational frequency. People operating at different frequencies will literally begin to experience different realities on the same planet. And here's the key. The eclipse on February 17th is the activation point. This is when the split locks in. Cayce said the prepared ones, those who've been doing the inner work, clearing trauma, releasing fear, raising their frequency, they'll move into what he called the new earth timeline, a reality of abundance, synchronicity, heart-based manifestation, telepathic connection, and what he called Christ consciousness, the ability to see and feel the interconnectedness of all things. But those still holding dense fear, anger, resentment, grief, they'll experience the eclipse as an intensification of chaos, scarcity, control, and separation. Same planet, different timelines, different realities, and both groups won't even be able to fully understand each other anymore. That's the split. It's like you're speaking different languages even when you're using the same words. Now let's look at how the astrology confirms exactly what Cayce predicted, because it's remarkable. This eclipse is ruled by Uranus, the planet of awakening, revolution, sudden change, and truth. And Uranus is square to the eclipse, which means it's triggering massive, unexpected breakthroughs. Uranus just went stationary direct on February 3rd, just a few days ago. When Uranus stations, you get seismic energy, power outages, cyber events, aviation incidents, truth revelations, things that were hidden suddenly exposed, structures that seemed permanent suddenly collapsing. The eclipse itself is a North Node eclipse, which means it's future-oriented, not past-oriented. This isn't about what was, this is about what's being born, the new beginning, the new timeline. Neptune in Aries is about a brand new spiritual identity, being your own spiritual leader. No more gurus, no more waiting for someone to save you. You become the sovereign leader of your own consciousness. And Saturn conjunct Neptune 3 days after the eclipse, that's the universe saying, get real about your dreams, make them tangible. Build the new earth with your hands, not just your intentions. Stop the illusion, stop the delusion, and create something real from the heart. Cayce saw this astrological convergence over 80 years ago. He knew this window would come, and he said those who recognize it and act will experience what seems like miracles to everyone else. But it's not magic, it's the natural result of doing the inner work and aligning with the ascending timeline. So how do you know which timeline you're moving into? Cayce gave 3 specific markers that show up between now and February 17th. First, time distortion. If you've been experiencing moments where time feels non-linear, where hours pass like minutes or minutes feel like hours, that's a sign you're shifting. Cayce said the ascending timeline operates outside linear time. You'll have déjà vu that's so strong, you know you've lived this moment before. You'll receive information about future events before they happen, not vague intuitions, specific detailed knowing about what's coming. This happens because the energetic structure that keeps us locked in linear time is loosening. And for those who've prepared, this creates an incredible advantage. You'll sense which decisions lead to which outcomes before you make them. You'll access information from your future self about what you need to know right now. Second marker, instant manifestation. If your thoughts are manifesting into physical reality faster than ever before, that's the timeline split beginning. What you focus on is appearing within days or even hours. For example, you think about needing help with something, and within hours, someone offers exactly that help. You visualize a specific outcome and circumstances align to make it happen within days. You hold a clear intention and obstacles that seemed immovable suddenly dissolve. How cool is that? but you've got to do the work. Now, here's what Cayce warned about. This shift is neutral. It responds to whatever consciousness you're holding. You know the universe doesn't judge, it just says yes. If you're holding fear-based thoughts, those will manifest just as quickly as love-based thoughts. You can manifest a castle just as easily as a prison, and the universe doesn't judge. This is why clearing your blocks before February 17th is so critical. You need to clear the fear before the eclipse amplifies everything. Third marker, relationship shifts. This one's intense, and a lot of people are experiencing this right now. People will start falling away from your life rapidly, and it won't be dramatic. No big fights, no major betrayals. They'll just fade like mist. You'll stop hearing from them. They'll stop reaching out, and you won't even miss them because you're literally vibrating into different timelines. Cayce said, those who resonate will remain, those who do not will dissolve. It's not personal, it's frequency. On the other hand, new people will start appearing in your life seemingly out of nowhere. People who match your new frequency. People who understand what you're going through without you having to explain. If you're experiencing one or all three of these markers, you're already in the transition zone. The eclipse locks it in. So here's what you need to do between now and February 17th to position yourself for the ascending timeline. First, clear your emotional blocks immediately. This is non-negotiable. Cayce was adamant about this. He said, whatever emotional baggage you're holding on February 17th will determine which timeline you lock into. That includes fear, resentment, anger, grief, shame, guilt, all of it. Practically, this means journaling, therapy if you need it, energy work, breath work, forgiveness practices, whatever modality works for you. But do the work. Don't skip this step. You have 2 weeks to release what you've been carrying for years, maybe even lifetimes. Second, stay grounded in your body during this intensity. This is crucial. With all the Aquarius energy and Uranus square to the eclipse, your nervous system can get overloaded. You can feel jazzed up, reactive, scattered. When that happens, your instinct will be to dissociate, to check out, to numb yourself. Don't. Cayce said the people who stay present and grounded during this intensity are the ones who emerge with the strongest connection to the new timeline abilities. So practice now. Meditation, breath work, walking in nature, anything that helps you anchor into your physical body while processing intense emotions. Make your breath slower, drop into your heart, drop into your belly. Even just 10 slow breaths, 3 or 4 times a day, can completely shift your state. Because our state of being is our top priority right now. Coherence is what births New Earth. And New Earth isn't a place we go to. It's a frequency we embody. Third, clarify your heart's true desires before February arrives. This is critical. The eclipse and the heart-based manifestation window that opens will create whatever your heart truly wants, not what your ego thinks you should want, not what society tells you to want, but what your soul genuinely desires. So between now and February 17th, get clear. What does your heart actually want? What would you create if you knew you couldn't fail? What brings you genuine joy, not just temporary pleasure? Write it down, get specific. Because on February 17th, the universe will be listening to your heart's frequency, and it will deliver exactly what you're broadcasting. Cayce said this shift is permanent. Once heart-based manifestation activates, it becomes your new default way of creating. You can't go back. We don't want to, but you have to choose it consciously. And that choice point happens on February 17th. So what happens after February 17th? According to Cayce, the split becomes locked in. You can't go back. Once you've moved into the ascending timeline, your old reality literally won't exist anymore for you. You'll look back at who you were just weeks ago and barely recognize that person. You'll start operating with abilities that seem miraculous to others. Intuitive knowing, synchronicity daily, reality bending to your heart's desires, telepathic connections, seeing into people's hearts, instantly knowing if they're trustworthy. But it won't feel magical, it'll feel natural. like you finally remembered how reality actually works. And the people still on the descending timeline, they won't understand. They'll think you're lucky, they'll think you changed, they might even call you crazy. But the truth is, you shifted dimensions. Cayce called this the greatest opportunity in 2000 years. He said the last time this kind of vibrational shift happened was during the time of Christ. And the next time it comes, it won't be in our lifetime. This is it. February 17th, 2026, the timeline split, the activation, the moment you've been preparing for whether you knew it or not. Now, I want to be clear about something. The 3D world is going to get louder. The chaos, the collapse of old structures, the turbulence, it's all going to intensify. That's not a bad thing. That's right on time. The old world built on greed, inequality, and power can't hold the new frequencies coming in. It has to collapse. Expect it to get crazier. Expect the news to get more intense. But you don't have to live at that level. You can be on your eagle's perch, observing it all with compassion and calm. Your greatest service to the collective is to stay in love, peace, joy, and gratitude. That coherent energy is what stabilizes everything. You're the anchor. You're the lighthouse. Let the old world collapse loudly while you quietly birth the new one from within. Because what you focus on expands. If you're focused on the chaos with fear, that's what expands in your reality. But if you're focused on the new earth, the new connections, the new healing technologies, the telepathy with animals, the connection with galactic beings, the multidimensionality that's opening up, that's what expands for you. Same planet, different realities. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to step into the ascending timeline? Are you willing to do what it takes in the next 2 weeks? Drop a comment below and let me know where you are in this journey. I read every single one and I want to hear your story. If you found this valuable, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because I'm covering the Saturn-Neptune conjunction next and what comes after February 20th. The energy between now and March is going to be absolutely wild and you need to be prepared. Remember, February 17th is the moment, the eclipse is the activation, the timeline split is real. Edgar Cayce saw it coming 80 years ago, and now we're living it. You are whole, powerful, strong, and ready for this shift. I'll see you on the other side. Blessings.